Hi, I'm Mark, and this is a review of the 12th studio album by Green Day, Revolution Radio. So I just got my notes right here in front of me, so I'm looking down a lot. But there's not a whole. I'm a pretty big fan of Green Day. That's why I can put out a review of this before Anthony Fantano of the Needle drop. Which is crazy. The only person I couldn't beat was John from ARTV. Shout out to him, because he is just as big a Green Day fan as me, if not more. Okay, so yes, I've been waiting for this album since ever since the trilogy. Because, like a lot of people, I guess, I thought the trilogy could be better if it was just one album versus three. I guess it's pretty cool that they can put out 3 albums at the same time. It's not very few artists have done that, but it would just been a better project. So yeah, I'm not that impressed with what I got here on Revolution Radio. It's good, but not near great. So I'll tell you why. So Billy Joe Armstrong has always had a knack, and the other members of Green Day have always had a knack for writing great melodies, good playing, a lot of passion in what they put out. That's why I love Green Day, because they are very passionate about music. Just they're like Bruce Springsteen in that, like, they're not very smart. Like, they don't know calculus, for example, or they can't name more than 5 elements on the periodic table, that kind of thing. But they are very passionate about what they do, which is in this case music. So that is still intact here on this album. I like the playing. I like the passion, as I said, comes out in Billy Joe singing and Trey's drumming and a lot of that. But the lyrics kind of suck on this album, and it really is the main drawback of this album, the lyrics. Because the lyrics are either very vague or they're just contradicting each other, and they're not very well made. Like, some lyrics don't rhyme well. It's just cheesy, because a lot of lyrics on Still Breathing, or just, the lyrics are just very generic, and I want to know what you're trying to say. Make a point that really it has a lot of thought in it. I don't get that on this album. So to go back to Still Breathing, while it does have bad lyrics, because the passion and the playing and the melody, Billy Joe's great knack for songwriting, I still like that song. It's still a good song, which is weird to me. It's I kind of hate myself for liking a song that sugary, but I like it. I just can't help singing and dancing along to it. That was my idea of a dance, yes. Okay, so I would compare my reaction to this album as the reaction that a Star Wars fan had reaction to, say, Phantom Menace or The Force Awakens when it came out. It's oh man, we've been waiting for the franchise to return, right? And when it comes out, it's not that good, but you still enjoy it just because it is that franchise returning. So that's how I feel. Green Day has been away, and we could say they've been away since 2009, because I don't know, I do like the trilogy. It's not bad, especially I like Dose. I love Dose. Dose is great. But it's like I sort of think of that as like this side project, like Foxborough Hot Tubs. And so I kind of think of this as the first real album since 2009. So I've been waiting a long time for this. You know, I love Green Day. And, you know, what I get is not great. It's like mediocre, but I still like enjoy it, and just because it's Green Day and their melodies and everything. So, yeah. You can't help but vibe to it, and then I end up enjoying it. Just like people end up enjoying The Phantom Menace. So originally when Bang Bang came out, I didn't like the track Bang Bang. I didn't like how Billy Joe went to screaming. Like now he's screaming in his music, getting into screamo, and I did not really enjoy that. I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like this, you don't make emo music, Green Day, and maybe just because I don't enjoy emo music, but yeah, it's just. And I felt like the mix or whatever was bad, and then I found out they self-produced this album. Green Day self-produced Revolution Radio. And so I was like, ugh, so the rest of this album is going to sound this kind of bad. I don't know, like I felt like the guitars were a little like too muddy, and maybe like a little bit too like dark, and like maybe a bit like overpowering, and like I feel like things weren't mixed properly. And there are issues with production on this album. I guess I'll get out the bad things on this album first. So production, besides the lyrics, production is kind of an issue because I feel like the transitions are not smooth. Dang, I wish I had a specific example. I think it might have been on Outlaws. Like, it just goes from freaking loud to like soft for like a few seconds, and it goes back to blasting your head off. Which was like, it didn't work for me because I prefer things to be more smooth. When like dun, 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 which just doesn't work. Okay, so one last thing I want to talk about, it's sort of in terms of lyrics, but it's about like the themes of this album, is that the theme of this album is Green Day getting old, basically. Billy Joe feels like he's getting old, and like he's not sure what his role in the world is now. Like the prime of his life is past, right? He's 40 something, 46, 44. And that's the kind of album that I wanted them to make. Like I wanted them to make an album that reflected their age, which is different from 21st Century Breakdown because they were, you know, late 30s at that point. So that was like, they haven't made an album that represented themselves since American Idiot, and possibly you could go as far back as Warning if you don't think American Idiot was their age. Yeah, 21st Century Breakdown, they're pretending to be whatever 20-somethings rioting and protesting, and then especially Uno Dos and Trey, like on Uno, like he's freaking singing about like crushes and like Sweet 16s. Like I get Sweet 16s was about Adrian. Point is like it was like 40-year-old like pining after 16-year-old. That's the way it felt. And so on this album, they finally like reflect on their middle ageness, and that was, you know, it's kind of the album I wanted, but because the lyrics are just so vague, there's no poignant moments, such as if you check out the folk singer-songwriter album by Sun Kill Moon called Benji. Check out the album Benji from 2014. That is like the perfect middle-age, old-age album. Just reflecting on mortality and stuff. But it doesn't, like, I'm not saying an old age album, it has to be about death. But like, say something thoughtful and poignant instead of just vague, like, oh, let's put a little idea here, put a little idea here. You know, like, none of it like fits together and like makes a cohesive like story. I'm sorry if you guys probably hate me for hating on this album, but now I'm gonna get into the positives. So before I get into the positives, I want to talk about the influence on this album. So this album, Billy Joe said he was gonna break the stereotype of pop punk forever, or something like that. You know, pop punk is dead now, or something, and I'm not sure what he meant by that. But what we're getting on this album is basically The Who. It's what Green Day has always been is like The Who mixed with like a little bit, like a tinge of country. Like, to me, I never understood what pop punk was, or I never really classified Green Day as pop punk. It's just pop rock with like, you know, slight like subtle like socio-political stuff, and that's what Green Day has always been. But I sort of think of Green Day as The Who mixed with country, and especially on this album, like The Who's like arena-sized like guitars and drums are on this album, and like, you know, the whole like whoa whoa, you know, those kind of choruses are all over this thing. And, you know, there's always like a touch of like country in Green Day. Like, I guess The Who also had a touch of country, but like the touch of just like down home and like folksiness, because Green Day are not that, like, the smartest people in the world. So it's basically pop rock with a dark edge on this album, like, and I don't. So I've warmed up to Bang Bang. It has like some of the best lyrics, I'd say, some of the better lyrics on the album, because it's like you can really like Billy Joe talked about in an interview of how like he was doing it from the perspective of a mass shooter, a psycho shooter. And like you can kind of feel that in the lyrics, like shoot me up to entertain. Like the way like in the social media it's like give me likes and attention. And like I'll be happy. Like that's the kind of culture. Another lyric I like is on the song what song is this? I think it was Say Goodbye, where Billy Joe sings teach your children well from the bottom of a well. So that lyric, the song was about how people, I think a response to like Ferguson, the shooting of Mike Brown in Ferguson. I'm not exactly sure that was the one, but it was in response to some shooting. And so Green Day, like, or Billy Joe saw, you know, all the tanks rolled in, and like U.S. soldiers, like the army, rolled into this town, in order to like to suppress protesting. Like like everyone said it, like we were living in Iraq, like when you saw the TV. And so Billy Joe is just commenting on how it's like say goodbye to your loved ones and say hello to the police state. And so that was like a pretty witty line, you know. But then this particular line I like because it's about how parents or the older members of society are closed-minded or just a lot of people in the world, like they don't want to hear other people's opinions. They're not listening to other sides of the story. They only want to stay in their own bubble and listen to what like they believe already. And so the sad thing about that is that children are being taught by their parents to do the same thing, to be closed-minded. And so it's like this endless cycle of closed-mindedness. And yeah, it's kind of sad. So yeah, I like that line. So another good thing about the album is that Billy Joe is not preaching, just like on American Idiot. Like American Idiot was like a lot of people consider it a political album. I consider it more of like the story of how like some young people in the country maybe just be like alienated and just like uncertain about like the future and like what is going on in the world with all the struggles and protests. It's just like American Idiot in that way, like, but Billy Joe is never being preachy. He's always like, I don't know what's going on either. Like, I'm just seeing all these things, and they're terrible, but I don't know what to do. So I commend Billy Joe for staying like, not being preachy and not telling me what to do, but just telling the world, like explaining what he sees in the world, and like he's just unsure himself of what he is supposed to do with this information. And so, okay, the album is 12 tracks. The main section is 11 tracks, numbered tracks 1 through 11. And then the last track, Ordinary World, which is on the upcoming movie, which is the alternate universe where Green Day never got big. You know, Billy Joe is a failed attempt at a rock star, and he's just living his normal everyday life, which is kind of shitty. Like, he works in a record store. So that's the new movie coming out that he's starring in. But like, he wrote the song for the movie, but like he ended up putting it on the album. I think it's kind of an album again. Like, it has the vague lyrics, and it's just not very interesting musically either. But so what I like is how the first track, Somewhere Now, it ties in to the 11th track, Forever Now, because they reprise the first track in the 11th track. So they sort of like, they wrap up the album and like tie it together, which I thought was really cool. Like, I don't think Green Day have ever done that, where they actually like brought an album full circle like that. So that, I think that's also another nice artistic touch to this album. So in these 11 tracks, because I'm going to forget about the 12th track, I think it should be a bonus track. I don't think it should be on the album. Somewhere Now sort of lays out the theme that the album is going to be about some political stuff, half political stuff, or half like social political stuff, and the other half his own life and what, like, reflecting on his life. So on the tracks of his own life, he's talking about nostalgia for when like he and Mike and his friends were young and just, you know, messing around and getting in trouble. On the track Outlaws, to track about Adrian and how like she, his wife Adrian, and how like she keeps him young and like how he still loves her a lot. She's the cedar in the trees of Minnesota, which I thought was a funny line. Like, are cedars really a better tree than other trees? That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know about that one, but it's still cute. And then, so, in other tracks, like Too Dumb to Die, he's sort of talking about how he's seeing all this trouble in the world, all the suffering or pain, and he's just like he's dreaming of of a better world. Like he wants to see a world where people are not in this situation, but again, it's just a dream. He doesn't have the answers. He doesn't know what to do. So, and then for the political side, as I said, like Bang Bang is about the psycho shooters and just the violence and the nature of social media and sort of like making us want to do anything for attention. Revolution Radio is about sort of the politics, bring down the government. Like again, it's so generic, Like I like the song. I like Revolution Radio as a song. Like I think it's well written. How just like it explodes into like the verses. The verses are really good in terms of how they're structured. But yeah, the lyrics. And then the track track 4, which is what's track 4? Say Goodbye, again with the Ferguson track. That's one of my favorite tracks. Like as I said, like some of the lyrics are good, and like there's one thing where he does, "This is how we," and then like I don't know, it turns into like a oh whoa chorus, but it actually means something. It's like he's saying roll, and the way it's like has this mass chorus thing like on the roll. It's like a lot of people singing roll at the same time. It sounds like you can kind of imagine like tanks and like an army just rolling down the street, and so it puts you in Ferguson. I thought like that might be the best like artistic touch on the album. So I like that song. So Still Breathing is about his rehab recovery, which I'm really happy about. I'm really proud that he has been able to put his drug use aside and like concentrate on his life. But it's just, as I said, like musically, it's just sugary. It's a Jonas Brothers tribute. And the lyrics are, as I said, I can karaoke this thing, man. This song is great to sing along to, but the lyrics, like when you actually think about what you're singing, like, oh yeah, those are not good. Track 6 is called Bouncing Off the Walls. I'm not sure what the song is about, but because it's the wall and like talking about the concrete dream, it makes me think of Trump's wall. So I think the song's about Trump, like the lies that were told by politicians. And this song, like I see a lot of people online talking about how this is their favorite song on the album because it's so wild. Where all the other songs are quite composed and like very refined in how they're structured, this is the only one that's like it kind of goes like a little bit more chaotic. At first, I didn't like the song, but like I get what they're saying. It sort of has that Uno Dos Tre vibe, like in terms of the chaoticness, the chaos. But yeah, it's all right. It's a good song. So notice, like I don't think anything here is bad really, but just not a lot of none of it is great. None of this album is great. My favorite tracks, as I said, are Say Goodbye, I guess Revolution Radio, and Forever Now, the way it wraps up the whole album. But I don't love those songs. So yeah, so this album is different from their other albums. I can say they're sort of like progressing or evolving. I don't know if it's progress, but they're evolving in that it's very arena ready. As I said, The Who inspired. But I wouldn't say it's as like even American Idiot was sort of like, it's different. It's not quite this album. This album has a lot of, as I said, it's like arena ready. It's for gigantic stages and audiences. It will be a great hit for that kind of atmosphere. Yeah, that's my thoughts on Revolution Radio. If you have anything you'd like to say, you want to hate on me, that's fine. Alright, oh, I forgot my score. My score for this album is a decent 6 out of 10. Decent to strong 6 out of 10 on the Neil drop scale. And this album's not going to change anyone's opinion on the band. People who hate them are still going to hate them. People who are like meh on them will still be meh on them. People who love them still love them. Even though it was mediocre, I still enjoyed it. And just hopefully some young people will get into this album, and a whole new generation of Green Day fans will get into this album. That's the only thing I hope. And dig into their back. Hopefully, those people will dig into their back catalog. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.